Çok değerli bakanım, çok değerli valimiz, çok değerli misafirler, Sayın Büyükşehir Belediye Başkanımız, dear members of parliament, dear President of the Assembly of Habitat and Executive Director of UN Habitat, thank you very much for attending this quite extraordinary event because, as the mayor of Balıkesir mentioned, I was also a volunteer in the Habitat 96 in Istanbul, and that was the first time also for me where I heard the word habitat, which is a very interesting word to pronounce in Turkish. But that was where we met as high school kids who were learning English and practicing it. We had a chance to meet fellow volunteers from all around the world. We had a chance to attend many, seminars, conferences, and talks about the future of the world. And 26 years from Habitat Istanbul, we still face similar problems and challenges in our cities. And yesterday, at the closing ceremonies of the 4th World Nomad Games, I had this to say about the nomad culture. We are no longer nomads, obviously, and we are not going to exalt, so to speak, the nomad culture. But from going from a sports example, how we appreciate the amateur spirit in professional sports. I think we have to appreciate the nomad spirit even in urbanized circumstances. Okay, we are urban. Okay, we no longer move whenever we feel like it. But the nomad culture has a very peaceful coexistence with the environment, with the animals they live with, and with each other as well. Because nomads, when you have a challenge, when you no longer can surmount that challenge, you just take all of your belongings and your tent and you relocate to somewhere else. When you have problems with water sources, when you have problems with animal feeding, you take your belongings and you relocate. So I think even in this urbanized world, if we can have a feel of this nomad culture, of peaceful coexistence with our surroundings and with our environment and with the animals that we cohabit this world with, I think that's going to give that amateur spirit in professional sports into our urbanized lives. And as the World Ethnosport Confederation, we try to revive traditional sports and games because we feel the colorful nature of the world depends on this cultural plurality that we have and increasingly lack, because there is a Western culture that is dominating many spheres through its social media, through its all media, not only social media. So we, just the same way we strive to keep existing animal types or endemic vegetation, I think we have to strive to keep our cultures alive and living in our streets and cities. So we don't only need basketball courts and soccer courts and football courts and baseball fields, etc. We also need our traditional sports and games to exist also in our streets and neighborhoods. And I think this is going to increase the engagement of people who are disengaged from sports for various reasons, because it will engage one to sports through one's own culture, one's own history. And that's why I would like to thank the Executive Director, Meymune, for her dialogue and cooperation with us in terms of putting traditional sports and games in the habitat agenda. We also have been working with UNESCO in the same direction. And I would like to take this opportunity in this UN Habitat Day in Balıkesir, Turkey, to remind all of us that to make sure that no one is left behind and no place is left behind, we should make sure that our cultures are also not left behind, so that more people will be engaged in our urban centers and in our 21st century urban living. Thank you very much.